Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana Weather. Thanks for logging on to the latest long-range forecast update. Happy meteorological spring. Can you believe it already? Sure doesn't feel like spring out there today with all the nasty precipitation that we have had. You can see that precipitation now starting to exit the area, and tonight maybe just some light scattered stuff around there, but nothing too big in the way of anything else. Mostly all off to our east for now. We're sponsored today by High Voltage Mobile DJ Services. Give them a call at 630-9465. Be sure to visit them on the web at djhighvoltage.com. They have some fantastic services they can do for you, folks. They've got a great mobile stage. When you visit their website, you can check out some pictures of that stage, and you can see some of the examples of the things they do, the light show that they provide. Folks, they do a great job. Give them a call, and be sure to tell them that Southern Indiana Weather sent you. Alrighty. We have some big-time weather coming our way this week, folks, that we want to focus on, and it's going to run the whole gamut of things. Everywhere from the potential of some heavy rain and thunderstorms on Tuesday to, yes, potentially more snow in the forecast. As we head to there, let's talk about the last snowstorm that we just went through first. Let's talk about this. This was the snow that fell last night. This is just a little snowcast verification. I like to do these with each significant storm that rolls through. And you can see a little bit of an overachiever in some areas. Some areas picked up a little bit more than predicted, but overall a pretty good forecast. But not too much here along the Ohio River. Most of the snow fell a little bit more towards the north. Anywhere in this dashed red line is where the sleet and snow was, and freezing rain was predicted to mix in with the snow, and you can see that did eat down on totals, but some significant snows as you head a little bit further away from the river with this one. Now, how's the winter forecast going? Because as I said, it's now meteorological spring. Let's go back and review our winter forecast and see how we did. No, it's not over technically with winter yet, but meteorological winter is over, so it's a good review. Here is the forecast highlight graphic. If you want the official winter forecast, you can go to southernindianaweather.com, click on forecast sessions, and scroll through those, and you can find my final winter forecast that I issued back in October. And here is sort of my summary graphic for that. The average snowfall, as you can see across the area here, but my sort of summary was above average snow with a snow ice battleground for us here in far southern Indiana, and below normal temperatures. That's what I predicted. Well, let's just take a look at where we ended up. Again, there is what my forecast was, and well, average snowfall here, we'll just take a look at the Southern Indiana Weather Office here in the Huntingburg-Jasper area where I am at. 11.9 inches of snow is normal so far to date. We've had 13.75 inches of snow, kind of the half inch that we got last night before the freezing rain came in. And we've had about a half inch of ice too. We certainly have fought that snow ice battleground, and we have had above normal snowfall. Specifically, if you read through my winter forecast, I suspected that we would have a 25 to 50% increase in snowfall. We are about an inch and 2/10 or so away from meeting the 25% threshold. There would be 14.9 inches would be our 25% increase, and we're at 13.75. So really, if we get any snow significantly at all over the next couple of weeks here, certainly that will go up. How do we do on temperatures? Well, you remember we started out fairly mild in December, and even January was somewhat mild until the end, but once February came, the temperatures crashed. And if you're thinking, man, this was an extremely hard February, you're right. This is the hardest February that we've had since 1979. I think it was about the 9th coldest February that we've had since we've been keeping records. So very cold February. In fact, if we add the temperatures up over the winter, we were actually 1.8 degrees below normal when you add all the temperatures up for the winter. So that's a little bit better than it was last winter, where we were about 3 degrees below normal for the winter, but below normal certainly through that. So I'll be the first to admit the winter forecast didn't verify exactly the way that I thought it would, but nonetheless, in the end, the winter forecast most certainly verified. We had above normal snowfall, and we had below normal temperatures. Now, we got some more snow potentially on the way this week, and it's all going to be caused here by this cold front that's going to be plowing through our area. This cold front will move through on Tuesday and could actually bring us a good chance of first thunderstorms that we've had in a long time. Some very heavy rainfall predicted with that potentially as well. As that cold front then moves through, and by the way, that should bring us easily up into the low 50s. That's going to be a welcome change, and of course that'll melt a lot of the nasty snow and ice and things that we have had across the area. But then by the time Wednesday comes around, we are going to have some snow to potentially deal with. Let me show you what I mean. Let me just time it out for you on future radar here, give you an idea. Now this is just one model. Look at this. This is the NAM model, but it'll give us at least an idea to work with, and then we'll start to compare some specifics. Here's that snow that we just had moving out of the area. As we go through Monday, we stay pretty well dry. By the time Monday night comes into the overnight hours into Tuesday, we've got some more rain moving into the area. Potentially mixes with some sleet and freezing rain. It would be pretty light for us. It might be a little bit more intense as you head up into central and northern Indiana. But it's certainly going to be a rain for us. And as I said, we're easily going to reach into the upper 40s to low 50s across the area on Tuesday. We'll have a little bit of a dry slot at times. Some heavy rain rolls through. Again, maybe some potential for some thunderstorms with this. I'm not expecting anything severe, but some rumbles of thunder, not out of the question. That'll roll through. Now, the big question then is going to be how fast does this cold front roll through? Does the cold front really push through and we crash our temperatures on Tuesday night, or does that happen a little bit more on Wednesday morning? Now, the reason that's going to matter is because there's going to be another impulse that's going to ride up this cold front, and essentially, let me just sort of put it for you like this: as this cold front plows through the area, another little impulse is going to ride up that cold front, and that's going to bring us a chance for some wintry precipitation. So how far that cold front has passed us whenever that impulse decides to move into the area and ride up it, that's going to determine who ends up getting the snowfall out of this. So how fast this cold front moves through will be very much determinative of who gets the snow. But as of right now, according to the regular NAM here, take a look at this. Some intense snow potentially as you move into the afternoon on Wednesday. Here we are by 2 o'clock on Wednesday, and you've still got some rain out there into the area, and very quickly transitions to all snow within 3 hours across the area. And according to the NAM, we get some intense snow. In fact, you can see the purple shades mixing in just to our south, and this would be some sleet and freezing rain mixing in with the snow down into Kentucky. So they could end up, according to this, with a pretty decent icing situation and some very heavy snow for us. How heavy? Well, if the NAM is right, this kind of heavy, on the order of, a good 6 to 8 inches around a good chunk of the area, according to the NAM model. So that's one model's idea. That does not mean this will verify, but it is something that we will take a look at. There is some model agreement for this. If we take a look at the Canadian, you can see the Canadian supports that idea of the cold front hanging around long enough for it to snow on Wednesday for us as well. It does not give us as heavy a snow as what the NAM does, but 2 to 5 inches around the area would still be definitely a significant snowfall and disruptive to travel plans. This, by the way, is going to be most likely a heavy wet snow. So this is not going to be one that's just light and fluffy and falls and blows all over the place. This is one that's going to stick to wherever it falls. So that's something that we'll keep in mind. The other models that we could take a look at as well, the UK Met is in pretty good agreement actually with the NAM and brings a heavy swath of snow over us. The UK Met is the UK Meteorological Office. It's their particular weather model. Again, you can see even some 9 and 10 inch pockets of snow around there with that intense snowfall. European snowfall, the European model, you can see it is some decent totals for us here in southern Indiana as well, but the larger snow totals down here over Kentucky. It pushes that cold front a little bit faster, but we still get some decent snowfalls everywhere from a 3-inch swath along this line to 6 to 8 inches down here closer to the Ohio River. So this would certainly be a reasonably decent snowfall. But as you notice all these, you notice the position of them is different. The heavier snowfall down here in Kentucky with the European heavy snowfall, the heaviest blast of it through southern Indiana over us. The Canadian puts that heavier blast of snowfall up towards Indianapolis with but snow really all around the area here, and the NAM puts the heavier blast right over us. We'll have to fine-tune this over the coming couple of days as to where that heavier swath is and what these totals will be. Right now, it looks like a pretty good bet for some snow for us on Wednesday. GFS is the party pooper, and it is the lone lone man out saying what snow. It pushes the front through so fast, probably a little bit too fast in my opinion, and that would leave what snow could ride this impulse way to our south, and this to our north does not come from this little impulse. But bottom line is it's the odd man out here when you compare it to the other models. So I would sort of tend to throw the GFS out of the mix at this point. Right now, it looks to me like snow is a good bet for Wednesday at this point. The question is going to be how much we get. Is it going to be mega snow totals like what the NAM and the UK Met are saying, or is it going to be minor snow totals, maybe more along the lines of the Canadian? That's something that we'll have to figure out. Again, we'll fine-tune that in coming days. As far as what the National Weather Service is thinking, they're actually putting the potential for a slight risk of 4 inches of snow, mostly into Kentucky, but extends here at least partly into southern Indiana. So we'll see. Again, they're thinking the timing of the front, that it may go through fast enough that the heavier snow stays down to Kentucky as well. And we'll see about that. I'm not convinced that that's necessarily the right solution. I'm not sold either on the Indiana or Kentucky being the heavier snow totals at this point. Really need some better data, and that's only going to come for having another couple of model runs roll through. That's the bottom line. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at your 10-day forecast. Now, I will say this: it's depressing at the start, but I've got some very nice temperatures in the warm-up for you. You can go to southernindianaweather.com. You can get this. Make sure you download our mobile app as well. It's available on Google Play for your Android devices or for your Apple iPhone devices as well. 36 tomorrow for your high. It's going to be another chilly day, but partly sunny skies. No rain really to contend with during the daytime. Now, rain and some slight chance of a light freezing rain, and I say a very slight chance for us. It would not be a very big event for us. Bigger event looks to stay north of the area, in my opinion, as far as the freezing rain potential goes on Monday night. By Tuesday, again, low to mid 50s, very possible. Rain very likely on that. Probably I went with a 90% chance, 100% may be reachable on this. A good chance of some thunderstorms as well. I don't think it's anything severe, but we may hear some rumbles of thunder. Much warmer, as you can see. Rain that night, and I'm only taking us down to 35. What I went with is sort of a blend of the models. I don't think that the front will pass through 100% on Tuesday night. I think it will probably be Wednesday morning before it finally gets past us, the way it's sort of making a blend of the models. That would take us down roughly to the mid-30s, and then temperatures on Wednesday are going to fall throughout the day. Probably won't rise whatever we're at on whatever we end up at 7 or 8 on Wednesday morning is likely are going to be where we're at for our high temperature, and will fall through the daytime. Again, the rain will change over to some snow. It is only a question in my mind of how much it's going to accumulate and how fast it changes over, and there's a lot of questions still with that. So we'll just say that snow accumulation is possible rather than putting a specific amount. I've showed you the modeling, and it ranges from minor to pretty decent sized snowfall. Again, we'll keep an eye on that. Snow showers either way are going to come to an end on Wednesday night. Thursday, that's just absolutely depressing to see temperatures back in the low 20s, I know, and down to 10 that night. But there's some good news as you scroll through the rest of the outlook. By Friday, we're up into the upper 30s, mid 40s on Saturday with beautiful sunshine. Also for next Sunday, upper 40s, and then look at this, the 50s start to return beyond that. So it's some good news. It's there. In fact, if we just take a look at the 16-day temp spread, even some 60s return as you head into the mid-month of March. So, maybe, just maybe, this might be nature's sort of last hoorah of a snowstorm coming to us. That's not to say that this will be our last snowfall, but it's looking like our last snowfall chance for a while, and could be the last of the year. We had snow all the way up until March 25th last winter, to put things into perspective. So if this is indeed our last snowfall, there's a good chance that it could be. It could be a significant. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see about that. But it is nice to see that average high temperatures right now about 52 to 54 right across the area, and you can see we will eventually trend to an above normal pattern as you head into mid-March. That's nice to be able to see. Will that hold out? Hopefully. We will just have to see. All right, folks, that is it for this long range update. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite with Southern Indiana Weather. Hope you have a great night, folks, and keep it tuned here to southernindianaweather.com. On Facebook, follow us on Twitter at SouthernINWX as well, and we will keep you up to date on this winter storm as it rolls through. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.